I'm in love with Mary Jane. She's my main thing.
At the heart of music history lies a myriad of stories, from tales of dazzling success to tragic falls, all adding depth to the rich tapestry of the industry. Among these are the tales of rivalry that define eras, epitomizing the competitive spirit of musicians striving to leave their mark. Few such rivalries have managed to captivate, intrigue, and enthrall audiences as much as the feud between Rick James and Prince.
Prince coming on strong, man. You know, he's gaining momentum. You know, probably kicking Rick some nights.
Interestingly, the 1980s, a decade characterized by the emergence of a vibrant music scene, saw genres like funk, rock, and pop witnessing a renaissance. The world danced to the tunes of new wave music, groovy bass lines, and synthesized sounds. With the musical landscape undergoing such revolutionary changes, there emerged artists who, with their innovative approaches, were not just part of this change, but were the harbingers of it. Rick James, dubbed the King of Punk Funk, was already an established star by the start of the decade. With hits like Super Freak, he had carved a niche for himself, characterized by his unique blend of punk and funk. His charismatic stage presence, combined with his unabashed lyrics, made him a force to be reckoned with. As for Rick, he wasn't just making music, he was creating anthems that defined the funk genre. On the other hand, Prince was an enigmatic newcomer, bursting onto the scene with a fresh sound and a flamboyant style that combined sensuality with audacity. He quickly became the talk of the industry. With songs like Purple Rain and When Doves Cry, he exhibited a unique ability to blend genres seamlessly. Prince wasn't just another artist. He was a musical genius redefining boundaries. Shockingly, when these two titans crossed paths, sparks flew. While on the surface, it seemed like a clash of personalities. Deeper lay a battle of ideologies, visions, and the very essence of music. Rick James, with his gritty and raw sound, represented the funk of the past. His lyrics, candid and audacious, echoed the rebellious spirit of the 70s. Prince, meanwhile, was the future. His ability to take elements from different genres and create a symphony represented a new direction music was taking. The stage was set for a rivalry that was about more than just chart positions. It was about legacy, influence, and the soul of music. But what truly fueled this intense rivalry? Was it just professional competition, or was there more than what met the eye? As stories of backstage confrontations, subtle jabs in songs, and public spats began to surface, it became evident that the rift between the two was more profound. Each saw the other as a threat, not just to their career, but to their vision of what music should represent. Moreover, the 80s, characterized by its decadence and excesses, only added fuel to this fiery rivalry. As the decade progressed, so did their animosity. Both artists, in their quest to outdo the other, pushed boundaries, both musically and personally. Their concerts became grander, their music more experimental, and their public appearances filled with veiled references to each other. From their first meeting to their most infamous confrontations, we'll explore the dynamics of one of music's most talked-about feuds. Beyond the glare of the spotlights and the roar of the crowds lies a tale of two artists bound by their passion, separated by their visions, but forever linked by their shared contribution to the world of music. The late 70s and early 80s was a period of musical revolution, with genres blending and artists experimenting, aiming to create something never heard before. Within this cauldron of innovation, Rick James had already made a mark. Known for his flamboyant stage presence and a unique style that married punk's rebellious edge with funk's groove, Rick James was on a trajectory to stardom. Meanwhile, Prince, the prodigious talent from Minneapolis, was starting to gain attention. His first album, For You, showcased his ability to play multiple instruments and hinted at the immense potential he possessed. While the album was not a commercial success, it was clear that Prince was someone to watch out for. Intriguingly, the paths of these two artists first crossed when Prince was the opening act for Rick James's tour in 1980. It was a pairing that, in many ways, made sense. Both artists, though distinct in their styles, shared an audacious approach to music and performance. Yet, what seemed like a match made in musical heaven soon showed signs of strain. Rick James, by then, had established his brand of punk funk and was enjoying the success of hits like Street Songs. His concerts were a spectacle characterized by energetic performances and a connection with the audience that few could rival. Prince, on the other hand, was still finding his footing. His performances, while mesmerizing, were more restrained, relying on his musical prowess rather than stage antics. Admittedly, backstage stories from the tour paint a picture of mounting tension. While it's hard to pinpoint the exact cause of their initial friction, many believe it was a combination of professional rivalry and stark differences in their personalities. Rick James, known for his boisterous nature, was outspoken and never shied away from expressing his opinions. Prince, meanwhile, was more reserved, often letting his music do the talking. However, as the tour progressed, it became evident that there was more at play than just musical differences. Rick James, in various interviews, alluded to Prince's tendency to borrow from his act. From using similar stage props to adopting certain mannerisms, Rick felt that Prince was encroaching on his territory. In the competitive world of music, where originality was prized, such accusations were not taken lightly. Moreover, Prince's star was rapidly on the rise. With the release of Dirty Mind, he began to command more attention, both from critics and fans. His raw and unabashed approach to topics like sexuality in songs like Do It All Night and Head was turning heads. It was clear that while he might have started as the opening act, Prince quickly became a force to reckon with. Additionally, stories of their confrontations began to make rounds. From heated arguments backstage to subtle jabs during performances, it was clear that the two were not on the best of terms. The culmination of their animosity came when Prince's set ran longer than allocated during one of the concerts. Rick James, feeling disrespected, confronted Prince, leading to an altercation that became the stuff of legends. The tour ended, but the stories of their feud continued to gain momentum. The music industry, always hungry for drama, latched onto their rivalry, often amplifying their confrontations. The media, too, played its part, with headlines often highlighting their differences rather than their music. As a result, what started as professional competition soon took a personal turn. Their feud became emblematic of the battles many artists faced, a reflection of the pressures of the industry and the lengths artists go to protect their legacy. But beyond the headlines, the taunts, and the confrontations lay a mutual respect. Both recognized the other's talent. Rick James, in a moment of candid reflection, admitted to feeling threatened by Prince's meteoric rise. Prince, meanwhile, never denied Rick's influence on his music, often acknowledging him in interviews. When one speaks of the 1980s funk scene, the conversation is incomplete without the mention of RJ. But who was this man behind the larger-than-life persona, the punk-funk trailblazer whose music became synonymous with rebellion and hedonism? Rick James was born James Ambrose Johnson Jr. in Buffalo, New York. From an early age, it was evident that Rick was destined to challenge the status quo. His youth was marked with incidents that hinted at the rebellious spirit he'd become known for. At the age of 15, refusing the dictates of a racially segregated America, Rick joined the Naval Reserves to avoid being drafted. However, he fled to Toronto when the idea of fighting in the Vietnam War went against his beliefs. Toronto was a turning point. It was here that he formed his first band, the Minna Birds, which intriguingly had a young Neil Young as a member. But just as they were about to sign a deal with Motown Records, Rick's AWOL status was discovered, leading to his arrest. Upon his release, he moved to Los Angeles, working as a songwriter for Motown. It was during this period that he honed his craft, understanding the intricacies of the music business and forming connections that would serve him later. However, Rick wanted more. The background was no place for a personality as vibrant as his. He soon embarked on his solo career, and in 1978, he released Come Get It, which featured hits like You and I and Mary Jane. The album was not just a commercial success, it was a statement. Rick James had arrived, and he was here to redefine funk. His music was raw, edgy, and spoke of themes that were often considered taboo. It was this audacious approach that set him apart. As the 80s progressed, so did Rick's popularity. Street Songs, released in 1981, is often considered his magnum opus, with tracks like Super Freak becoming anthems. However, with fame came its challenges. Rick's life off stage began to overshadow his musical genius. His struggles with drug addiction and controversies related to his personal relationships often made headlines. Interestingly, even as his personal life was spiraling, his music remained a reflection of the times. Tracks like Cold-Blooded commented on the cold nature of human relationships, while Ebony Eyes, a duet with Smokey Robinson, showcased his versatility as an artist. Yet, beneath the funky bass lines and the audacious lyrics lay a man grappling with his identity. In various interviews, Rick spoke about the challenges of being a black artist in an industry that often stereotyped him. His flamboyant stage persona was, in many ways, a response to these stereotypes, a way to reclaim his narrative. By the late 80s and early 90s, the music scene was evolving. Hip-hop and rap were on the rise, and the funk of the 80s was taking a back seat. Rick James, however, was not one to fade into obscurity. He continued to produce music, collaborating with younger artists and exploring new genres. His legacy, however, is not just in the hits he produced, but in the path he paved for future artists. Rick, with his unapologetic attitude and his refusal to be boxed, showed that artists could be true to their vision, even if it went against the grain. On the other hand, Prince, with his eclectic style and prodigious talent, has been a cornerstone in the music industry. But to truly understand the artist, one must first understand the man behind the music, the influences that shaped him, and the world he in turn influenced. Born as Prince Rogers Nelson in Minneapolis, Prince grew up in a household filled with music. His father, John Nelson, was a pianist whose stage name was Prince Rogers, from which young Nelson took his iconic name. His mother, Maddie, was a jazz singer. With such a musically enriched lineage, it was no surprise when Prince showed a proclivity towards music at a tender age. By the age of 7, Prince had already mastered the piano. By 10, he had familiarized himself with the guitar, and by 12, the drums. His prodigious talents were not just limited to instruments. His voice had an ethereal quality, ranging over multiple octaves, allowing him to produce sounds that few artists could emulate. But Minneapolis in the 1970s was not just about music. It was a hotbed for racial tensions, and the socio-political environment influenced the young Prince profoundly. Growing up, he faced challenges of racial identity and acceptance. These experiences would later come to define much of his music, where he frequently touched upon themes of love, freedom, and acceptance. Prince's first album, For You, released in 1978, showcased his ability to play multiple instruments and his distinctive falsetto voice. While the album wasn't a commercial success, it marked the arrival of a musician who was set to redefine genres. And redefine he did. Throughout the 1980s, Prince released a string of albums, each different from the last. He refused to be pigeonholed, blending rock, pop, jazz, and funk to create a sound that was uniquely his. Tracks like Purple Rain, Kiss, and When Doves Cry are testaments to his versatility as an artist. However, music was not the only domain where Prince shone. His androgynous fashion sense, combined with his fluid dance moves, made him an icon. He was known to frequently challenge gender norms, blurring the lines between masculinity and femininity. His flamboyant stage presence was a conscious decision to challenge societal expectations and push the boundaries of artistic expression. Yet, behind the glitz and glamour, Prince was known to be a private individual. He rarely gave interviews and was known to be fiercely protective of his work. This dichotomy of a flamboyant stage presence and a private off-stage persona added to the enigma that was Prince. The singer's impact was not limited to just the music world. He was a known philanthropist, supporting numerous causes, especially those centered around helping young artists find their footing in the industry. He was known to secretly fund projects, believing in the power of art to bring about change. But just how similar or different was Prince from Rick James? Rick was not just a musician, he was a performer. Those who attended his concerts spoke of the electrifying energy he brought on stage, an energy that was almost tangible. It wasn't just about the music, it was about the experience, the aura, and the sheer force of personality that was Rick James. His breakout album, Street Songs, released in 1981, gave us the iconic track, Super Freak, a song that is, to this day, instantly recognizable. The pulsating bass lines combined with his signature vocal style made it a song that transcended genres. But beyond its commercial success, Super Freak was a testament to Rick James's ability to innovate to blend rock and funk seamlessly. Beyond the stage, Rick was known for his flamboyance. His braids, often beaded, became a significant part of his image. Add to that his unabashed love for glitter and sequins, and you had an artist who was as much a visual delight as he was an auditory one. His lyrics, while undeniably groovy, often carried undertones of his battles, his loves, and his losses. It was this vulnerability, this raw honesty, that endeared him to many of his fans. Throughout the 1980s, Rick James collaborated with numerous artists, further solidifying his place in the music industry. His work with Tina Marie, particularly the hit Fire and Desire, showcased a softer, more melodic side of James. It was a testament to his versatility as an artist that he could transition from the high-energy grooves of Super Freak to the soulful melodies of Fire and Desire. But beyond the music, Rick James was known for his activism. He was vocal about the challenges Black artists faced in the music industry, especially in terms of representation and fair pay. He used his platform to shine a light on these issues, hoping to bring about change. Today, his legacy is multifaceted. He was a musical genius, yes, but he was also a flawed individual who faced his challenges head-on. His life serves as a reminder of the pitfalls of fame, but also of the enduring power of music and the indomitable human spirit. And just James, Prince's stage presence was electric. When he performed, it was a holistic experience, a combination of his virtuoso music skills, his unique voice, and his unparalleled ability to command a stage. His concerts were not just musical events. They were ethereal experiences and journeys into a world of his making. Every aspect of Prince's identity, from his androgynous style to his mysterious demeanor, was a carefully crafted element of his brand. Prince was acutely aware of the image he projected, both on and off the stage, and he used it to challenge societal norms, to question accepted truths, and to carve out a space that was uniquely his own. His affinity for the color purple became legendary. The 1984 film Purple Rain, which was semi-autobiographical, and its accompanying soundtrack became cultural touchstones. The film provided a glimpse into the man behind the legend, a view of the struggles, the challenges, and the victories that defined him. The 1990s saw Prince's relationship with the music industry evolve. His disagreements with his record label, Warner Bros., were widely publicized. He even changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol during a period, leading many to refer to him as the artist formerly known as Prince. This act was not just a marketing move, it was a statement of his autonomy, independence, and refusal to be pigeonholed. He was also a mentor to many. Artists like Vanity, Sheila E., and Apollonia got their start under Prince's wing. He had an uncanny ability to identify and nurture talent, shaping the careers of many in the industry. And while Prince and Rick James came from different backgrounds, their paths converged in the world of music. Both challenged norms, both redefined genres, and both left indelible marks on the world of music. It is this shared legacy that binds them, making their story all the more compelling. Rick James's biggest hit, Super Freak, became a cultural phenomenon. Its infectious groove and catchy lyrics made it a chart topper, and its influence is seen even today, with the track being sampled in numerous modern hits, most notably MC Hammer's You Can't Touch This. But James wasn't just a solo act. He played a pivotal role in launching the careers of the Mary Jane Girls and produced hits for other artists, showcasing his versatility. His collaborations were often unexpected and groundbreaking. Tina Marie, a protege of James, had several duets with him, with tracks like Fire and Desire, showcasing their undeniable chemistry. While his music was often about partying and good times, James also touched on social issues. Tracks like Mr. Policeman delved into issues of racial profiling and police brutality, proving that he was not one to shy away from tough topics. The same goes for Prince. His ability to seamlessly blend rock, pop, funk, and R&B made him a musical chameleon. While many artists collaborated with various musicians and producers to create their sound, Prince often played every instrument on his albums, showcasing his unparalleled musical talent. But beyond his musical prowess, Prince was known for his audacious style. He constantly reinvented his look, becoming a style icon in his own right. His androgynous style blurred the lines of gender norms, with flamboyant outfits, makeup, and high heels becoming part of his signature look. This distinctive style challenged conventions, making him a symbol of individuality and self-expression. To cap it up, his concerts were electrifying experiences. Not just a singer or a musician, Prince was a performer in the truest sense. He could captivate an audience, whether he was playing a guitar solo with his eyes closed or dancing in his unmistakable style. The passion and commitment he displayed during his live performances are part of what made him such an unforgettable artist. Additionally, his Paisley Park compound in Minnesota became a creative hub where artists from all walks of life would come to create and be inspired. In examining Prince's legacy, it's impossible to ignore the barriers he broke. As an African-American artist in the 1980s and 90s, he transcended racial boundaries in the music industry, achieving massive mainstream success without compromising his unique identity. He also played a significant role in elevating the Minneapolis music scene, putting the city on the global map. Prince's untimely passing in 2016 left a void in the music world. Yet his legacy endures through the countless artists he influenced, the barriers he broke, and the timeless music he left behind. In contrasting the lives and careers of Prince and Rick James, one can observe the myriad paths to success and the unique challenges faced by each artist. Both left indelible marks on the world of music, and their stories, though distinct, are intertwined in the annals of music history. Interestingly, their stories aren't just tales of competition or differences. They serve as a testament to the power of music, the influence of artistry, and the enduring nature of legacy. Rick James, with his raw passion and unapologetic style, and Prince, with his limitless versatility and enigmatic persona. Both carved niches that are uniquely theirs. As time progresses, the nuances of their relationship might fade, but what remains is their undeniable impact on the soundscape. They challenged conventions, redefined genres, and left behind masterpieces that generations continue to admire. In understanding their feud, we gain insight into their art, ambitions, and the world they navigated. Beyond the glitz, glamour, and controversies, the legacy of these two icons is a lesson in authenticity. In a world constantly seeking the next big thing, Rick James and Prince serve as reminders of the magic that happens when talent meets individuality. Their story, filled with highs and lows, successes and setbacks, is ultimately a celebration of music in its purest form. And as the final notes of their songs play, one can't help but appreciate the melodies and memories, the chords and conflicts that together compose the symphony of their intertwined lives. And that's it from us today. Until next time. Thank you for watching.